Happy Saturday, Indies. How are you doing? You ready to dig in? I am super stoked to hang with you guys. Last week we skipped. So this week I'm back and I'm very excited to talk with all of you. Okay, so Jeffrey's here. Thomas Love is here. George is here. George, how this works is that we chat. Typically, I am talking about the singles release and album release things that I'm working on, but it also can just be general Q&A if you like. Just realized my light's not on. As always, hold on. Don't mind my huge Billie Eilish sweatshirt I got. It's huge. I feel like a little teenage emo kid. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome to the hangs. So, I'm still kind of getting situated, man. So, it's been a good couple of weeks in my world. Hopefully in yours as well. I think one thing that I've definitely come to grips with is the fact that the press is not worth the investment to me. Not saying it wouldn't be to anyone else, but I'm definitely feeling the weight of paying them every month and being like, what did I get from this? You know, what could I have done with $2,000 in ad spend? That kind of thing. So that's definitely not my favorite thing that's been happening. It's been kind of a reckoning, and I'm under contract, so I have to basically continue it until January, whether I feel, so inclined or not. And, that's okay, right? It's a risk that I decided to take. But when I look at, the ads that I could be running or the other things I could be pursuing, it's been kind of like, I'm a little pouty about it. So I'll get over it. But so some other things that have been going on. I've been running a free plus shipping and handling funnel, which has been fun. It's been interesting to test. I have a lot of purchase data from my pre-sales and, kind of over time. So a couple of things that have unlocked for me in my ad account recently, I uploaded an LTV static, which basically means I exported all of my previous customers and their lifetime value, like how much they've ordered and how much they've spent with me over time. And then once, that uploads, then, Facebook is like, okay, we know who these people are and how much they're worth. Well, not as people. I mean, as customers. So I started running my free plus shipping and handling to warn people, and was using an LTV lookalike on some of the ads that were above it to try to feed people through. And I've been running some other tests as well. So that's been working out really well. And I think it definitely has helped a lot. That LTV lookalike is performing just much better than I anticipated and much better than interest targeting. So that has been a really cool thing. So if you have the capacity to do that, definitely do it. That consideration was one reason, and I know that I kind of talked to you guys about this last episode, but and a podcast that'll be coming out soon as well for Creative Juice, one of the episodes is things we've changed our minds about, which is a couple episodes away still. Jack and I had a great time recording that this week, but I've changed my mind about MailChimp. And any of you who are in the founder sessions, you already know this, but the combination of using Shopify and using MailChimp as my email provider, especially since Shopify MailChimp broke up last year and ShopSync as a plugin had started to just have everything go awry for me over there. I literally turned off my MailChimp account this month and unsubscribed everybody and moved all my stuff over to Drip because their LTV tracking is flames. And I realized how much I've been overlooking that. I mean, even as someone who has been marketing for a long time and knows how valuable that is, I didn't think I realized how valuable that would be in the advertising platform. For some reason, right? We have to convince indies to trust the machine, but we also still have to convince ourselves. The staff at Entrepreneur, we're still like, is it that smart? It is. So yeah, I've actually been doing a lot with high LTV lookalikes, and it's been game changing. My ad structure has completely changed. So that is very exciting. So if you are currently using some kind of, if you're using Shopify, for the record, you could do that from Shopify itself. You can export people, customers, their number of orders, their lifetime value. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I just decided that I wanted my email to be more powerful and that I wouldn't have to only look at customers when I'm looking at a chunk of people and not be able to consider it in, the structure of my whole audience in my mailing list. So yeah, highly recommend figuring out a way to get LTV audiences into the ad system because it's been amazing. It's been super great. So I'd love to hear what you guys are using currently, for a mailing list as an example. If you're using that mailing list to track everybody's orders and how much they've spent with you over time. And if you're not using your mailing list to do that, what are you using? Because I want to know. Okay. So another thing that I started, I realized that in my store, as more of this audience is coming in, there's things that people are requesting as far as merchandise or other things in the store that, aren't in my store right now. My store has been pretty bare bones purposely over the last year or two, just because I wasn't trying to do a whole lot there. I was running very private sales and I wasn't putting stuff in stores. I was putting them on like landing pages and taking direct payment there, and not like having people peruse around a store. Currently my free plus shipping and handling funnel is being run in Thrivecart. So that's not happening in my store either. But some people, like, I've had a huge rise in requests for autographed 8x10s lately, which is very weird to me. It's a thing that people like. To me, it's like, why would you think that I would offer pictures of myself for sale? But it's actually a very normal thing. It's just nothing I've done. And because I've been more engaging in Facebook Messenger and I've just been chatting more with fans generally, they've become more communicative about what they would like. And that's something I literally, like 6 messages this week were people asking about autographed 8x10s, which is just so weird. But so I ordered a bunch and put them up in my store. And I'm like, okay, whatever. The biggest game changer for me with this free plus shipping and handling funnel has been, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, the pay what you want feature of Thrivecart. And essentially what that means is that people can, you basically say, look, the album's free. If you want to pay more, you can, but you don't have to, I just want to give it to you. If you want to add something to it, you can. So the median that people are paying for an album I'm offering for free, the median price they're paying is $7, which is crazy to me. You could get it for $0, but they just feel the desire. So some people add $5, some people add $10, some people add $15. And I'm like, okay, well, do the thing. Like, thank you for the support. And, that's something that is kind of shifting my brain a little bit, because I think that there's also a little bit of a graciousness that comes to that, like there's a vibe where it's like, look, I am interested in helping and having a good relationship here. So if you can't pay me anything, don't, but if you can, feel free. And I think that it communicates more value and something different, than saying it's free. I don't know why. It just, so since I've been running this, this free push and handling, this more a pay what you want structure, people are paying $7, which is, obviously profitable in and of itself. I already had the shipping, padded just enough to cover, the actual cost of shipping, the cost of goods on the album, and the cost of ads and cost of the packaging, which I'm sending them in bubble mailers. And then I've had an upsell of my EP. It's like, add this EP for $5. And I would say there's about an 80% take rate. So it's kind of like messing with my head a little bit that it's doing well. Just because I haven't really put much into a free plus shipping and handling type funnel before. So I wanted to show you guys what this looks like. Let me see if I can pull it up here. And it's really funny because I know that I talk about sales stuff. Hi, I'm sorry it's quiet. It's turned all the way up. So I don't know what to do. Turn the speakers up. Crank it. Sorry, I'm doing my best, but I'm as loud as I can get in the settings of this. So let me find it. Okay, so essentially, I gotta share my screen. Okay, this is all that they're getting sent to, right? Nothing complex. It's like they've already seen the ad, so I don't feel the need to do a bunch of work here, right? So it's like, okay, here's Gilded. I'll autograph it. It's set to pay what you want, even if that means $0. And so then they click pay what you want here, and that goes to Thrivecart, which is an automatic checkout. I have really dug Thrivecart. So essentially they can pay $0. They can pay $5, right? If they pay up to $10, then it's like, ooh, you're generous. Thanks for the extra, right? Curtis, have them turn up their volume at home. Right. Crank speakers. So, anyway, and then they can add the EP for $5 with no additional shipping. So yeah, that's all it is, and it's working well. And when they check out, they're actually brought to a page that is like, you can go sign up for my contest here, my TuneSpeak contest. You can sign up for the Gilded experience, which is my album launch content, or they can buy something. They can get a one-time discount for the store. So I like it. I like it. It's working well. People seem to be really happy with it. I'm getting a lot of messages about it. I mean, it definitely, nobody's like, coming back on it and saying like, why are you offering this for free or anything like that. Most of them are hitting me up with requests for more stuff. So I also have had a lot of people requesting vinyl, which I know we talk about this all the time. Vinyl. And I think I'm actually going to do it. It is, once I started getting more into vinyl, I've, researched it in the past for other artists. Let me know if any of you guys have purchased any vinyl in the past, because, the wait time on it looks to be 6 to 8 weeks or even longer with, the pandemic and just shipment delays and production delays and all of that. So that's something that is to be taken into consideration, right? It's definitely not something I could offer right now. In theory, I could offer it early, before I have it in stock, which I've talked to you guys about before. It's not a pre-order. You just are like, hey, it'll be here soon, begins shipping on this day, and it doesn't have to be outlined as a pre-order, because I think that there's a little bit of a mental block for some people when they're thinking pre-order, right? So, but if it's 6 to 8 weeks, like, you gotta let people know that it's not gonna ship like real soon for anyone who doesn't read the fine print. So, I did find a couple of vendors that I really liked. Let me pull up that spreadsheet because I'd done some research. And I think that when you really like drill into it, there's not anything like crazy better. Like, okay, hold on. I want to send you guys this article. Okay, here it is. So, and I can post it in the comments. Oh, I don't think it'll let me post a link on YouTube. Why does YouTube that way? Maybe it'll let me post a link. It doesn't let you guys post links, but maybe it'll let me post a link. How about that? There we go. So anyway, this was a cool article that I found that is basically, it kind of outlines all of the different vendors. So I love how Facebook, yeah, okay. So yeah, there's, vendors here that they're talking about short run, and just like the various pricings and some of the benefits and, not so great things about, about them and the different services that they offer and where they're coming from and how long they take to ship and blah, 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 blah. So if you are interested in vinyl and you're looking for a short list, this was a pretty good short list. I still did a lot of research outside of this article. And to be honest, I didn't find anything that was like very, very, very different. So, I would say go here and start looking there. Obviously, Mobanico is like kind of it's the front runner for short run. So, they offer down to 100, but because they are produced in Taiwan, there may be, especially depending on where you live, there may be a small like tariff or, customs fee for it. They usually say turnaround of 5 to 6 weeks, but when I actually went through the quote process, it was up to 7 to 8 weeks, give or take 2 weeks for the shipping, because it's coming from overseas and things are weird right now. So that is the deal with that. Kurt says, I have purchased vinyl and have 200 plus copies of my first record on vinyl. I planned for a 3-month turnaround, didn't have it in time for the album release show because the manufacturer didn't tell me they were ready to begin pressing. Didn't tell me they were ready to begin pressing. I was told to wait and that I'd hear from them. Goodness gracious. Yeah, that could be very frustrating. Emma says she's hoping to do a vinyl run next year, budgeting now. Yeah, it ain't cheap, right? It's something that I have just held off on forever because I know it's trendy. I know people are buying them, but can I really move 100, 200, 500, right? Some of the minimum runs are like 300 to 500. So I've just always been trigger shy on it. I don't want to have, plus like vinyl, they're very sensitive, right? They have to be climate controlled. You definitely can't like store them in your garage unless your garage is climate controlled, but they need to be in, a very small kind of temperature window so they don't warp, and I'm like, I just don't, if I can't move 100 of them and they have to sit like on my dining room table for a year, I don't know. I don't know about that. So, but I think I'm finally going to do it because I think I've had enough people now that are like, we want vinyl. And I'm like, okay, well then fine. They are very heavy. Shipping doesn't have to be super tricky. Obviously they're larger than a 12 by 12 box, right? Which, at least in the US, when you're talking about sending out vinyl, to actually get it in a box, it has to be like 12 and a half inches, right? To give clearance for the vinyl. And so with a USPS, anything that's over 12 inches technically gets a little bit upcharged compared to the weight. So vinyl is not heavy, even if you have 180 gram, right? Which is like the upgraded weight of a vinyl. Even if you have that, it's still not super heavy, but because the box has to be over 12 inches on at least 2 of the sides, it does result in an upcharge. So I think I've shipped them, from one side of US to the other for about $9, which isn't crazy. I'll actually show you the packaging we have for Full Stack merch for vinyl. Hold. Okay. So these are what we get from Uline, and they're basically like this. Hey, Jessica, welcome. And what I like about these are from Uline, which I use Uline for most of my packaging needs, because if you order through like Staples or Office Depot, like they aren't, I don't know. I don't like their pricing. I don't think it's as competitive. So the way that these work is that essentially you would put the vinyl in here. Now this is an adjustable one, so you could send 1 or 2 vinyls, or, you could put a CD in here. I've even shipped a vinyl with a t-shirt in it. And so it folds over like this. It's much easier to do on a table. And then you can see like these perforations allow you to do, a thicker 1 inch or a 1/2 inch if you only want it to have 1 vinyl in it. Right. Or you can do it thinner like that. So you've got like the 2 options, right? And so when it's all folded down, it ends up being about that big, right? Which is 12.5 by 12.5 inches. Which means you'll have to pay more in shipping. But it's not bad. And so it can get complex in theory, right? You can't send it in a bubble mailer. But if you've got 100 of them anyway, you can buy a case of those and be good to go to ship that with CDs in it or with a t-shirt in it or whatever, and it's not super bad. So yeah, that's how I deal with vinyl shipping. We do send out some vinyl for Full Stack merch. We have some clients who do vinyl. So it doesn't end up being super bad, and it doesn't add a lot of cost either. So that's good too. So let me see. Oh, another thing that I started to brainstorm this week, because I seem to be gathering a lot of memorabilia type people, which is unusual, right? I really have 2 main avatars, and one of my avatars is, a teenage to young adult woman who likes brightly colored hair and cats and, anime. That's one of my avatars. And then the other avatar, I mean, obviously there's people all in there, but another avatar is, middle-aged men who are collectors. And some of them, care that I was in the Army and have some service. They thank me for my service, or they care about that stuff. But they're collectors. And so they're mainly the ones who are asking for the 8x10s, for the vinyl. And, I'm doing this greatest hits record, and something that kind of occurred to me is that I thought it would be really cool to do something like a box set, because at this point I have 5 albums with the greatest hits dual disc that I could put in there. And so I've been looking at all kinds of packaging. Talk about a rabbit hole. You just can go so far down the rabbit hole with this. I want to show you guys a couple of ideas that I had, though, because I think let's see. Sorry, I'm looking around at the stuff I've been glancing at lately. Sorry, I was just Googling it this morning, guys, so I'm pulling it up from my history. Okay, this is a company I found that really kind of excited me a lot. Okay, so this is a company called ESI Manufacturing, and I'm pretty sure that the products that they're showing here are not products that they've actually produced. I think they're just it would look like, it's this kind of thing. Everything that they do, they don't really have open pricing. There's no oh yeah, just set this up and send in your files. Everything is a very custom, kind of experience, and they build it for each individual. But if you look at something like this, it's just a slip case, right? And you can create the volumes that go in here. They've done obviously stuff for TED Talks, or they're showing stuff that they do. So you can see these are more jackets, right? Like these aren't even, they don't have a spine. So they're pretty, they're pretty slim. So you wouldn't have to do much in that department. Other things let's see, where did they sell? They had some really cool, here we go. Deluxe box sets is what I want. Not there. I clicked the wrong thing. Packaging, deluxe box sets. And there was some stuff in here that was really inspiring for me. Like, look at how nice. And the thing is that, Full Stack merch, we have the Glowforge. So there are things that I could, pay them to do. And then, like, look how pretty that is. They have this embossing on here, right? And then there's like these 3 albums or books, whichever they are. It looks like they might be books with like a little notebook or whatever. But it's just a simple case, right? It's a simple box with some treatment on it. And then there are these little paper sleeves that go around it, which you can also do that with, like leather, or, you could make it even higher level by putting something just like more than paper, something that's not disposable. So I thought that looked really slick, and I really like that. Something else that I saw, let's see here. I also like this idea. No. Now it says USB drives. I wouldn't use it for USB drive, but there's like this hinged kind of box, right? Which you could get, you could get that in any size to fit, 5 CDs in it or something like that. But they have like a leatherette kind of finish to them, which is also very nice. So yeah, I started really getting deep into this and looking at all kinds of different products, because dang, they just look at this one. Imagine if you had, like, because you got to think out of the box, right? You can't look at this and be like, well, a CD would never fit. That's not the right shape or not the right size, or you know what I mean? You got to kind of stretch yourself out a little bit. But think if like this was, instead of being so tall, it was more like square, right? And it folded over, and like this little part was magnetic, and it like snapped close, and it had a really cool exterior. You see where I'm going? So a lot of these things are things that I could treat myself. I could put my own decals on them. I could use the Glowforge to emboss them, the way, for example, like the cover of this, there's like foil here, right? So I could totally recreate that kind of vibe very inexpensively. So anyway, I just started, here's another one of those that like folds over, right? It's got this like, I don't know what that texture is. It looks kind of velvety. But can you imagine if you could do something like this for your people? And the more that I've looked into it, the more it's not as crazy as expensive as I thought. And I know a lot of indies have multiple records that they've done. So you could easily create something cool like this. You could also do this even if you only have one album. But if you make like the TED Talks, for example, you like make just thin paper jackets that don't have to be anything super fancy or, ridiculously high quality, right? If there's 10 of them in there for the one album and each one has a song, or you wanted to do 7-inch vinyl for each song or something like that, right? So there's just so many options. So I just started getting really excited by this stuff because I think this is the, when we start talking about Ascension products, right? It's very inspiring to start thinking about, okay, what do my next step products look like? How do I make the people who are willing to give me more money or want to purchase more from me, how do I give them something that's not a t-shirt? I think we're always thinking about that. So that was pretty cool. I think there was one other company that I had kind of looked at that I wanted to share with you guys, because they had a bunch of inspo on their site. And I was like, oh man, there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's who it was. Okay. And I don't know how many of you have heard of A to Z Media. Obviously they do. I mean, let's just look right here. right? Look at the different kind of vinyl they have. They've got cassettes over here. I actually forwarded this to Jesse Gillenwalter's Basic Printer, one of our employees, because he sells cassettes. And he's been looking for custom cassette players, like in bulk, you know. And so what all of this stuff is called, in case you're wondering, it says it up here, bespoke manufacturing services. So bespoke is basically personalized, customized, like it's not just a poly bag, and it's not just, you know, a general sticker, right? It's like boxes and accessories and things that are very custom, which, you know, a lot of musicians, that's basically what you need. You know, everything needs to be custom so it can be on point for your brand. So, but I definitely recommend, if you're looking for inspo, go to a2zmedia.com, as you can see in here, because they have some legit fun stuff. I mean, even if you look at, I mean, you know that these products are expensive, right? Like they have to be, but they're still cool. And the fact that they even are like kind of showing these things that they've done is like, okay, they have the capacity to think creatively. It's not like you're going to Oasis CD and you have 5 choices and like you're done. Some of the merchandise that they made, and I wanted to show you guys this because I just thought it was pretty amazing. Obviously, I mean, they have a ton of stuff, right? So, but like, here's like an advent calendar with like customized milk chocolate coins and stuff in it, and a chocolate bar with a logo, right? That's crazy. Some of these you could totally replicate elsewhere, right? Going to like forprint.com or different things like that. So it may even just give you some ideas of things to look at, and then, you know, actually source it from somewhere else if it's less expensive. So, but scrolling through this stuff kind of started to, I don't know what it is. This underwear, I've seen this on like 15 different album covers lately, or like singles covers lately. I don't understand it, but whatever, it works for people. Like hemp rolling paper. Seriously, you can get that for yourself. I thought this was really cool. They had pink felt heart paper in compostable sleeve, and it's seeded so that when people plant it, I think it's probably like wildflowers or, you know, something that isn't very high maintenance. But so anyway, there's just a lot of cool stuff in here, right? Bottle of hot sauce with full color printed label. Okay. So anyway, go here, peruse around. I think we're always looking for things that are not like the typical kind of crap that everybody's trying to produce. I mean, obviously they do have a lot of t-shirts, but they also do patches, and patches are always fun. Let's see. Yeah, it's almost like it gets a little bit more normal the deeper you go. They do pins. Soft enamel pins are always great. And if they do foam fingers. I wonder if they have the sign of the horns though for this one, because I wouldn't do a middle finger, but I would do that one. I would do this. You can get pins on a pin. You can get a whole set with like a custom card, which you can make that yourself as well if you have enough bulk going on. So yeah, I mean, so go to a site like this, peruse around. Some of it you'd be like, I totally have already thought of that. And some of this, like, look at this classic knit scarves, like they actually embroider your stuff into it. It's tight. Know what I mean? So anyway, it's just a good way to find inspo, right? I'm just into it. So anyway, and what's funny is that on these products, like, they are showing you things that they've done in the past, but they're not limited to this, right? This is a company that like designs all kinds of stuff. So, you know, you're not restricted to like the examples. Only your imagination is the limitation, right? So they offer all that, but then they also offer like, you know, vinyl and packaging, replication for CDs and cassettes, and DVD, right? So they have all the standard stuff as well. So I put in a couple quote requests for a few of these things, and I will be sure to share with you what comes of it. Because if they're not super expensive, I'm here for that. If they are super expensive, then, maybe I'll do something else. But the other thing too is that, as I'm developing out full stack merch, I'm constantly trying to look at okay, what are things that we could do, right? Like, what are things that the full stack merch, just the current equipment that we have, the current materials that we are able to treat, what are the things that we could do? And so when I go to these stores, I'm not only looking for, myself for my merch development, but I'm also looking at, okay, how hard would this really be to do myself, and offer it to indies for way less than anybody else is going to offer it. Because that's really the goal of full stack merch, is to help indies who can't order 500 of something to still get the stuff that they want, So that's what I've been working on as far as merch is concerned. I still want to find more apparel, but I feel like right now I'm kind of stuck in a memorabilia kind of lane. So I'm just going to roll with that until I run out or make a decision and buy stuff, and then I'll move on to the next thing. But that's kind of been where my head is at lately. So hopefully that gives you guys some inspo, because I think we all could use a little bit of inspo. So what else has been going on? TuneSpeak campaign, still going strong. It's still getting me about 30 new opt-ins per week. So it's not crazy, right? But it's already paid for itself as far as just opt-ins are concerned. Spotify followers have doubled. A new single came out yesterday, which is the cello rendition of one of my old rock songs. So for people responding well to that, and it's getting, some streams and attention through that TuneSpeak campaign, as well as the increased followers. Nothing insane, I don't think it works like that. The press hasn't had any notable kind of impact on streaming numbers. The frequency of my releases does not seem to have had any impact on my streaming numbers either. It's just kind of what it has been. So still have monthly listeners around 1,500 people. So what's funny is that, I don't know who those people are, but I sell almost that much in merch every month. And so it's just weird. It's just weird because it's I can't, everyone I know who's making money from music has not even just from streaming, but from merchandise, has thousands and thousands of listeners on Spotify. And I just don't, maybe because musicians really do not sell enough. But yeah, so I haven't seen any huge changes in any of that. The only thing I've really seen change is in the store, increased activity from the free plus shipping and handling offer. So that's been cool. I was looking at Shopify for any of you Shopify kiddos who are interested. Let me find it. There's actually, if you're not looking in a Thrive cart, it's funny because there was actually kind of a hidden gem kind of app that I couldn't actually find. Where'd it go? Give me a sec. Let's see. Okay, so I'll share my screen. This little plugin is called Pay What You Want by mrh.io. It's $5 a month. They have a 7-day free trial. This is easily the most affordable Pay What You Want plugin that I could find, and there aren't very many. And when I first searched for this in the Shopify App Store, it wouldn't pop up on search. I don't know why. Sometimes that happens with apps that are considered private apps. So I wasn't able to find it until I kind of did some digging. So what it essentially does, and I'll go on my Shopify background real quick so I can show you, because I did install it. I don't think I'm going to use it personally because Thrivecart's just working well for me. But I know that, an app for Shopify that's actually affordable for once and might have a good strategy to it is, worth its weight in gold in the indie community. So let me get to that. Okay. So I've been trying out a bunch of things for Shopify lately. So I'll just kind of go through them because some of these also integrate with other providers. So if you're not a Shopify user, but you use WooCommerce or, something like that, you can maybe still use these. All right. So let's get into the pay what you want first. All right. So pay what you want, it says it's enabled on a product by product basis. So essentially all you have to do is add a hashtag add a tag, to your merchandise, which, you would do that in whenever it pulls up here. Okay. Right. So down in this tag section, right? So you would add a tag here, pay what you want, right? Which I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm just saying. You could do pay what you want right there. And I will do it so I can show you guys. I know you guys are like, what? Make your mind up. All right. So if I now look at that on my site, you can see it's pay what you want. Now, currently I have the price set to $10. So if I wanted this to be free plus pay what you want, it could be $0. And now keep in mind, that means it's going to show as $0 everywhere in the store, right? It's not going to be on a specific page. I mean, you would send people to this product page, but you would have to take the price down everywhere that it is. Or make another product and only use it in a certain place, right? And have to track 2 products. But anyway, so this is pretty clean, right? Of all the things that I've seen that are like, add this and, have these different apps in your store, this is relatively clean. So, it's definitely, you can use it kind of as a tipping mechanism. You can use it as a, donation kind of thing. You could totally do any of that, right? So let's say that somebody's like, yeah, I want to tip her $25, right, on top of it. And they add it to the cart. Whenever it gets there we go. So what it does, okay, I've tested this a couple of times, so that's why there's 50 of these in here. So don't mind that. And I'm just gonna put 1. All right. So anyway, but so it puts this little thing, it's like, okay, so you paid $10 for this album, and then I put this little Bitmoji in here, but you could put any image here, and you can customize what this says. I think by default it says like, thank you for the extra support or something like that. But you can change this to whatever you want. I changed it to consider yourself my hero, and it shows as a separate line item. So that's been interesting to me. Even though it's not something that I'm going to be using right now, I think it's something that for $5 a month, you could do some really creative stuff with that, and really allow that order volume to go up as people are ordering things. Like, see if they're feeling generous. Anytime that you put something on sale, be like, okay, this is on sale. You can pay what you want for it with a minimum of this amount, and I really like that kind of idea because I think, again, it communicates like a graciousness as an artist, and that's tight. So yeah, that's an app that I've been trying out on Shopify lately that I'm not going to be using it right now, but I have enjoyed kind of what I've found from it recently. It was super easy. I pressed install, added the tag to the product, and boom, did it. Easy. So let me go remove that tag from that product so that it doesn't stay that way, because I actually don't want it on there right now. So yeah, and just so you know, then when you go into your all products, you'll see that it creates that product in your store. So, but it also won't show as a product like on your other sales channels. It'll just pop up in the when they're going through that checkout process. So anyway, that's the deal with that. Another one. Okay, so that's pay what you want. Candy Rack has been kind of cool, and I can actually show you guys how that one works too. It's a one-click upsell, and the reason why I like it is that it happens on their way to the cart. So, for example, I have one set up right now on the 8x10 because there have just been people requesting that. So anyway, they're here, they select, okay, let's say they want this one, right? And they're like, yeah, I want that signed. Okay, so when I click add to cart, it's like, hey, add this for, 66% off or whatever it is before they get to the cart. So if I press add and continue, goes to the cart with that in it. I'm pretty into that. I like that a lot. There are some add to cart plugins that I'm going to remove all this stuff. My poor cart is just super confused, and I'm going to get all my own retargeting ads. But anyway, I love stuff that is very low friction like that. There are other, plugins where you can have a bundle that displays right below the add to cart button. And it's like, oh, bundle up if you get all these things below that add to cart button. But I don't like that as much because I feel like they're having to consider two things at once. So with this one, they're literally just looking at the product that they're considering. And then when they press the button, it's like, do you want this too with a discount? And so it's a different buying decision. So I like this one better. This one is called Candy Rack. It runs, let me revisit. I think it's $14.99 a month. Pretty sure it's $14.99 a month. But it also does like they have a lot of other things that you can do with it. Obviously, you can change all of this custom stuff, put in your own, your own details and word it the way you want and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool things about this app. I know that I can find the cost. I don't want to just send you guys away without all the information. It's $30. Yikes. Okay, maybe that's which I'll pay, but I hate recommending stuff to you guys that's too expensive. That might be a lot. That might be a lot for you. So maybe you don't want that. But I think it's pretty tight. To me, it's worth it because I love one-click upsells. So I did install Zipify, which you may have heard us talk about, which is a Shopify app developer. They basically have two main products, which is their Pages app, which essentially it's like if you're building something in ClickFunnels, like now you can build it on Shopify. So you can do that with Pages, and they have one-click upsell. Each of these are $67 a month, which is like, whoa. And what I really don't like about it is that it actually it has its own payment provider, and I don't like it. It like adds another payment layer. And I'm like, wait a second. It's like adding a ClickFunnels or a Thrivecart like on top of your Shopify store. So I wasn't into it. What's funny is that I had a free trial with them and I turned it off because I decided I didn't like it, but I couldn't remember why I didn't like it. So then I reinstalled it because I'm like, okay, I'm trying new things. So then I reinstalled it and they were like, well, you already used your trial, so you're going to have to pay. So I paid $67 for one-click upsell to reinstall it. I was in it for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh, I remember why this is not tight. And uninstalled it. So it was an expensive mistake. But sometimes you have to trust yourself. Like, oh yeah, that didn't work. And I should make a note as to why I didn't like it so that I don't try it again without like contacting customer service and being like, is this any different? It's clunky, and you really are starting the design from scratch. It doesn't lay into your current Shopify layout. You have to like redo all of it again. So it's like, nah. So anyway, that was a dumb mistake that I made. Learn from my dumb mistakes. Okay. The other thing that I'm super stoked on, which I have already sent postcards through like manually. I've always been like, okay, it's been 3 weeks since that person order went out. I had a Zap set up to alert me. on my calendar, and it would be like, all right, send these 15% off postcards. And well, actually, I don't even need to show you the real ones because they're happening in here. So I have basically, this is a 3-week, if a customer has only one order with me, and 3 weeks after that purchase, I send them a follow-up postcard that offers them 15% off in the store. And this is automated. It plugs straight in to Shopify, so I don't have to, do anything crazy. I just designed the front. Now you'll see it's like $0 on everything, but that's just because I haven't run it yet. I just set it up, so it'll start in 3 weeks. But what's really cool is that you can like put their name in it, right? And so it's like, well, hi there, Dorothy. I don't think I have any customers named Dorothy, but if I did, this would be her. So, and then I used that font that I've talked to you guys about. That is my handwriting font that looks like I wrote something. I put that on here. I was just like, hey, wanted to send you this postcard with a little discount. Hope you find some new goodies in there. And then the discount code for checkout. So that is, I've always had really good success with direct mail stuff. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because people don't expect it from a musician, right? So this is, you can see the cost here is $179 per postcard, but that is because this is the international. And then I also have a domestic because just because of the simple cost, they don't. So the cost for a US based one is 89 cents, and they print them on demand with the custom name in it, and it's beautiful. So I have some of those cards in person that I have been still sending out for other reasons, but this is great. It's automated. I don't have to worry about it. So those are the things I've been kind of playing with in Shopify. One other thing for you Shopify users, and I know if you don't use Shopify, you're like, oh, get over it with Shopify. But something that's been kind of a game changer for me that I just didn't even realize that I needed to do was changing the language in my emails, the Shopify generated emails that you can't turn off, right? Like order confirmation, you can send an order confirmation follow-up from your autoresponder, but Shopify is going to send them an order confirmation regardless. If you have fulfillment and tracking information going through Shopify, customers are going to get those. So I was like, I don't like that it's like so sterile. So what I realized you could do, you can go into checkout here. Or wait, is it checkout? Hold on, I'll remember. Wait for it. It's not in checkout. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, checkout language. You can manage your checkout language. So which you might think like, oh, it's English, but what's cool is that, and guys, this is a rabbit hole. You can change everything, right? Like totally everything. So, if you wanted to like put, like say there's a place for their phone number, right? Let me just find something. Well, actually, you can also, because these are huge and long, so you can actually put like phone number and have it filter just the things that say phone number. So say there's like a phone, right? You'd be like, give me your digits. And it'll say that on Shopify everywhere where there's a phone, so that's really kind of interesting. And so that's something that I did because I think you guys probably remember that I would complain about the fact that there's that little box when you go to check out a Shopify store that says, do you accept future email marketing? And it popped right up. Accept marketing checkbox label. You can set it in Shopify to be pre-selected, but it still says like, keep me signed up for marketing offers. Like I uncheck that every time. Every time, because I hate that language. Like, no, I don't want marketing emails. That sounds wretched, So instead, I changed it to please keep this checked or I won't be able to email you. And I've had nobody uncheck it since then, ever since I made that change. It's crazy, right? Like really bonkers. So, so little things like that. If you're like looking at the template of your store, right? If you're perusing around here and you're seeing something that's like, why does it say that? Like, why can't I change that? This is how you change it, is you go into the language, and that's how you do it. So I'm not going to save any of those changes because I don't even remember everything I put, but you could get really snarky and have a lot of fun with your Shopify language, getting in there and doing that. So that's been fun to play with. That's basically the Shopify deal. I spent a lot of time in my Shopify this week. I also spent a lot of time in Thrivecart. So, Thrivecart's doing really well for me still. The thing I will share with you about Thrivecart, which has been less than perfect, is that it's seemingly very difficult to zap things from Thrivecart to Shopify when you have multiple products. Thrivecart data does not seem to populate in Zapier well. It just sends sample data, which means it doesn't have info from a real order. So to test a zap, I wouldn't be able to do what I needed to do and make sure that the line items showed up right and that the discount showed up right and all of that. So I can route it very easily to ShipStation, but sending ShipStation orders to Shopify can also be cumbersome with line items if there's more than one. So I have been manually putting everything from ShipStation into Shopify for the last couple of weeks. I've been running this free plus shipping and handling, and it's not bad. It's like, I think the highest number of orders I've had in any given day is like 25 or something like that. So it's not like it's been insane, but like the queen of automation is not happy. So I'm trying to figure that out. Thrivecart used to have a native Shopify integration, and then it didn't work anymore. I don't know. They broke up just like MailChimp and Shopify broke up. Maybe Shopify is the problem child. I don't know. But so that there just isn't a direct way to do it right now that I've figured out. But I'll figure it out when I spend more than 5 minutes on it. I'm just like everybody else, where I try something for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I don't want to do this right now. And then I'm like, it can't be done. It can be done. I just haven't sat down and figured it out yet. So as soon as I sit down and figure it out, I will share it with any of you who happen to be using Thrivecart as a funnel and Shopify as a store. There you go. Quinn, no. So this is Shopify standalone, and I'm using Thrivecart as a funnel, so Thrivecart would be likened to ClickFunnels, for example. If you look in our trainings and stuff, ClickFunnels is one of the providers that we go through kind of extensively because it's a specific funnel type software, and Shopify isn't great at that. So a lot of us will use something else, right? For WooCommerce, WooFunnels is the funnel add-on, right? Some WordPress users just use WooCommerce, and some people just want WordPress for their site and then use Shopify as their store. So there's a lot of tech options, right? Crazy stuff. So, but yeah, I hope that answers your question. You guys are so quiet. I feel like I've been talking forever and ever. I'm awkwardly filling the silence. So I still get weird on live. I just do, because I'm here by myself, but I'm not by myself. So meta. Anyway, yeah, so Shopify, the free plus shipping and handling has been going well, although it's a little bit more cumbersome than it needs to be because of the manual entry. I don't totally mind doing things manually though, because I get to see everybody's name, I'm still, I still handwrite a note on every single order and, say thank you for your support with their name, welcome to the family. If they're a first time orderer, or if they have a high LTV, I'll write, I can't believe you've been, I can't believe you've been a fan for this long or whatever, So, How's this for quiet all caps? You're totally fine. Oh, Marvin was filling orders, so he's late. That's an excellent reason to be late. Ship them orders. I'm so excited. But yeah, it's definitely, it's been fun kind of playing around in Shopify. I feel pretty well versed in Shopify. I do hate messing around in the code because Liquid is just not a language I love because it's obviously a merge of many languages, and it's just not coding. It's just not the way I think. I'm an HTML, CSS, JavaScript kind of gal, and Liquid is just all over the place. Kurt says, if you were to start from scratch today, which web builder, online store, email service, and other tools would you use? I already know the answer because I'm quick to pivot. Usually. And if I'm not happy with something, I'm like, let me find something else. MailChimp was the thing I struggled hardest to pivot away from. And I think it's because email migration is just a huge thing. But MailChimp has had it coming from me for like 3 years now. So I moved to Drip. Otherwise, I am 100% happy with Squarespace as my site, Thrivecart as my funnel, Drip as my email marketing, and Shopify as my store. I have figured out how to manipulate all of them in some ways. Shopify is the one I struggle with the most because of the Liquid code. Squarespace, I wish I could impress upon everyone how powerful Squarespace is once you get out of templates. Like once you actually figure out, there's a bit of a learning curve, but once you get past it, nobody ever seems to get that far. They're always like, man, these stupid squares and I'm over it. It looks dumb, or it's hard, or I don't like how the layout is, or whatever. But for me, like, I am a Squarespace evangelist. I love Squarespace, and there's no affiliate program, so I'm not making any money from it. So I would totally stick with Squarespace. I've been with Squarespace since 2009. I love what they've done. I don't love their e-com. Their e-com is, and I definitely don't want their mailing. Like I hope they don't go the way of MailChimp in that they're like, let's do all the things. It's like, no, do the one thing you're good at and let, people who are good at email do email. So Jeffrey said, I checked out I Love Creative's website and now they hit me with ads and their ads are so sick. Yes. My girl Puno, she is so hilarious. Everything on the I Love Creative's website. I'm going along with her Instagram beta session, her Instagram content planning course that just launched in beta. I think like literally yesterday it started. But her Squarespace course is legit. She's got a Premiere, a video editing course that is also super fun. She just doesn't take herself seriously, and she just has fun in it. So they're a little bit more expensive, but in my mind, it's one of the only sources of trainings that is actually worth that amount of money. I feel like she, Indepreneur, we're a little bit more affordable, partially because our audience really needs that, because, musicians, it's hard for all of us to make a living as musicians. So hers are a little bit more expensive, but definitely more worth than anything that I've seen in a similar space at that price. So yeah, definitely recommend. Let's see. So Kurt, hopefully that answers the question. I do use Zapier. I do use ShipStation, and I really do love ShipStation now that I'm familiar with it. I have tried a couple of on-demand companies that I don't like, especially because they're all running late right now. So I was going to test out some designs with on-demand because that is what I use on-demand for. I use on-demand for testing out new products. Printful is usually my lead choice for that. And their wait time on a t-shirt is like 22 days right now. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to make my people wait that long. So another tech stack necessity for me is ManyChat. It is unbelievable what that tool does for me for $10 a month. So I definitely recommend that. And Drip is by far, for the cost, the features, and the usability. Drip, for the price that it is just bar none the best that I've tried all the things. If you guys were here at the last episode, you know I tried Send in Blue, Send Lane, OmniSend, OmniCampaign, ActiveCampaign, MailerLite. Obviously, I was in MailChimp forever. I've tried all the things. Drip is where I ended up. So I would definitely say Drip if I had to start over. Quinn said, I got Squarespace before I heard y'all's podcast on WordPress. So you think it would be easier to put our podcast on WordPress versus Squarespace? I think for a podcast, you should, like, if you're using like Libsyn, for example, for your distribution, their player can embed anywhere. So as far as a podcast, I don't think there's anything crazy that you would need any website to do for you. But Circa and I have said that we're going to do a debate about WordPress versus Squarespace. And because I don't like WordPress, I know that's what Cirque recommends. It's what he likes. But I have managed to, my Squarespace does everything I need it to except for a store for which I use Shopify. But all of my opt-ins, all of my landing pages, all of my sales pages for all of my funnels, everything is on Squarespace. WordPress, if you guys experienced any issues with the Entrepreneur site earlier this year, that was WordPress plugin and security issues. So to me, WordPress is just too subject to security problems, plugins conflicting and not working, and it's not worth it to me. Squarespace all works. So anyway, Circa and I have debated, or we've talked about having a debate like in the Entrepreneur Indies group about Squarespace versus WordPress. And it's not to say that like I don't see any value in WordPress, and it's not to say that Cirque sees no value in Squarespace, and that either of us don't see any value in other website builders. But I'm a Squarespace kid. He's a WordPress kid. So I want to throw down. I'm calling him out. You should call him out in the group because we keep scheduling it and it keeps getting moved. So if somebody holds us to it, maybe we'll actually follow through on it, but I think it would be fun. I love when Cirque and I have a good little throwdown because we think very similarly but also very differently, and I think it'd be fun. I think everybody would get a kick out of it. Shay the Wanderer is here, and she caught me this time. Welcome, Shay. Okay, Chris said, that was helpful. I wrote it all down. Part of what I meant by starting from scratch is a very low budget. Would you still say Squarespace over WordPress? Yes. Because I think that Squarespace can do enough to replace a lot of other tech stacky things. You can do, and especially if you figure out how to navigate it, right? Which is not as hard as people think, especially Squarespace 7.1 just came out, and it's even more amazing, easier to use, more flexible, right? The templates are better. So you can do that for everything you need on your site, hosting all of your content. You can obviously run opt-in forms with it, that will seamlessly communicate to, Google Sheets thing, or depending on what your autoresponder is, that works. And Squarespace Ecom, I don't love Squarespace Ecom, but it is it's acceptable. It is. And I think that if you use Squarespace with commerce at the lower business level, and I think that it's more affordable than WordPress in the long run. So, I would still say Squarespace and use their ecom because they do have pixel integration. And actually, if you're an Indie Pro member, Jesse just did a ground report on how to build funnels using Squarespace e-commerce. And not exact funnels. It's not like ClickFunnels, but it definitely is funnelsy, right? And ways to use ecom in an adaptive way. He also covered how to use Shopify buy buttons to do the same, in which case you could use Shopify Lite and have buy buttons, and that's $9 a month. So between those two options, I think Squarespace with either Squarespace Ecom or Shopify buy buttons, you could really do it at a low budget and get everything done that you need to do. that's my 2 cents. George says my wife uses WordPress, but it's been tricky. Yeah. If you keep the plugins to a minimum, it runs fast. And, can run without breaking. But as soon as you add a checkout, WordPress's links their admin links are all somewhat static, right? So checkout links can be kind of static. Login can be kind of static, which means that you can go to any site, and basically put /admin. If it's a WordPress site, it'll pop up in admin.php, and it's very easy for any kind of malicious software, firmware, or even just bots across the internet, to attack your infrastructure, because all of those are predictable links. So that can be tough once you add a checkout. And if you add too many plugins, they could conflict, and one could block the other, and it could cause a feedback loop where it causes your website to load really slow. So WordPress on its own does not automatically run slow. It's all the crap you put into it that makes it run slow or possibly conflict. So doing all that scanning is just a lot of work, and I'm too lazy for that. So it's totally up to you. All right. Well, we are past 2 hours, but guys, or past 1 hour, excuse me, not 2 hours. Thanks for hanging out with me this Saturday. Remember, every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central, which is roughly when this started, whatever time zone you're in, I'm going to be coming live and talking about more things. I'll talk about the things I've done, but hopefully we can also talk about the things you've done, get any questions answered, and get you shipping all the things you possibly can for your music career. So, thanks for being here. I'm a go, but have a great weekend and get things done. See you guys.